Dude, I realized you're on vacation. Why are you doing this?
Well, because I want our future trainees to know that we care and that we want them to get to know us. Why don't we get started if you're cool with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we just have two simple questions. We just want our trainees or our future trainees to get to know us a little bit better. And I think the two biggest questions that they're going to miss out because we are, in doing virtual interviews is in part, why Henry Ford? What do you like about Henry Ford?
Okay, yes, great question. So I trained at Henry Ford, so I have a long history with the department, obviously. So the question for me was why come back? And now the question is more so why stay, right?
Sure.
It's a very common question that we get during interviews, and there's a couple of reasons. Number one, the faculty right now, I feel like we have a group of like mostly mid-career, really enthusiastic, hungry faculty that are all about kind of collaboration and figuring out ways to do things better and innovation and research and expansion and practice building. And it's been really kind of invigorating to be a part of that. I've been able to collaborate, I think, with almost every other faculty member in some way, whether it be, practice expansion or research or whatever. And you just have this sense that everyone is trying to make the department kind of top notch every day. And I've seen that growth, and I've seen it get better and better and better. And while there are many things I can complain about, I really think it's good in that regard. I think a lot of programs don't necessarily have that. They kind of have the old school faculty and then kind of everything in between, where I really think we're like being anchored right now by a huge group, and everyone's kind of trying to, high tide raises all the boats kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like a really hungry group right now. And I think that like people who join us can jump in on those opportunities.
Well, so that's the thing. I mean, we could talk about how great it is as faculty because we all get along so well and we have personal relationships in addition to professional relationships. But then what does that mean for residents? And I actually do think there's a trickle-down effect. I think when residents see the faculty, engaging at national meetings or presenting research locally or giving grand rounds, number one, you have a sense of the culture that's being cultivated in the department. And also just from a learning perspective, like residents are often involved in a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and then also I think it gives a lot of opportunity for mentorship where, residents can kind of get a sense of what are different faculty doing, where they're interested, where do their interests lie, and how can I kind of capitalize on that and try and yield it to their benefit. So hopefully, I'd like to think it trickles down, but I mean, it's definitely a huge part of the reason that I'm back, but more so why I've decided to stay, because I see how much just cool stuff is happening. Yeah.
So I guess the other question then that we've been asking people is, tell us about life in Detroit, because I think, Detroit gets a little bit of a bad rap.
Yeah.
We were like one of these dynamo cities, and then, things got a little weird for a little while with like the great white flight. I mean, I think people may think about Detroit and statistics and things like that and not realize what it's like to live here. Tell us a little bit more about what you like about living here in Detroit.
So I'm a native. So I've born and raised in Southeast Michigan. Growing up, spent tons of time going down into Detroit to kind of, enjoy the fun activities down there. But I think more recently what we've seen is really a tremendous kind of, I hate to say revolution, but I mean, what's happening in the city over the last maybe 5-10 years, it's like an entirely new place. First of all, the number of like activities, things to do in the downtown area has just exploded, whether it's restaurants, theaters, sports venues. Basically, there's something for everybody down there at this point. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure I would have said that during my training even necessarily. I mean, there have always been great things to do in Detroit,
Yeah.
but I think right now is almost the best time in decades probably. Just driving around down there, you see how much is happening in terms of new buildings going up, new projects going up, expansion. It's become chic to live in Detroit. A lot of young professionals who traditionally would have lived in Royal Oak or Birmingham or kind of these nicer suburbs, they're all moving into the city now.
I think we have a couple residents who live in Detroit now.
Yeah. Well, there's been huge investments into the city by big corporations who want to see the city thrive again and want to see it do well and be a welcoming place for people. So I think 5-10 years ago, I would have said, I'm not so sure. But think about where we go when we take visiting professors out or people from out of town, or even in my personal life, when family comes from out of state. Traditionally, we would have taken them to a nice suburb or, a fancy restaurant in Troy or wherever. Now, 100% of the time, we're in Detroit.
What have you done? What have you done lately that has been really fun about?
Well,
like
lately,
Grosse Pointe where you live, or Detroit. Like what have you done lately?
For me, for my wife and I, date night is almost exclusively in Detroit at this point. If we're not staying really local, we go to the Fox Theater all the time to see musicals. I went to Little Caesars Arena not too long ago to see who did I see? I think, was it the Pistons? I guess the Pistons. The restaurants, I don't have to tell you. So many cool restaurants. We went to Vicente's Cuban restaurant. We went to the Whitney one time for
the Whitney is pretty cool. If you haven't been, you should totally, the next time you guys have a date night. I suppose right now bar service is closed, but they have you been to Ghost Bar on the top?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cool sort of secretive cocktail bar.
There's also a super cool bar in the Watch Place.
Oh yeah, Shinola, like in the hotel.
Yeah. The Shinola Hotel has a amazing bar and a super cool restaurant as well.
I haven't been yet.
We're down there all the time. We don't live far.
Yeah.
We mix it up between the newer places and the kind of old school establishments that are still as good as ever. There's more.
Where did you go when you were a medical student?
Med student, we used to go to Traffic Jam a little bit.
Yeah.
There was also a restaurant at the end of Canfield. There was a Mexican place, which is now replaced by Hopcat.
Okay.
We used to do that. We used to go to the Magic Stick? It's like a bowling alley and like a restaurant.
Yeah, that's still there. That's totally
right
still
there
there.
on Woodward.
It's next to the Majestic.
Yeah. Majestic. Yep.
Yeah. And then you know what's really cool about Traffic Jam and Snug? Allison and I have been a couple times, and they have great desserts, but they also, like, we've been after orchestra, and we'll see like the DSO people there, which is
really? Yeah. It's a cool place. The other thing, the riverfront, we'll walk around, and Belle Isle, dude. Belle Isle is now like a game changer.
Yeah, since the state took over, it's been like, it was always really fun, but I feel like it's like even cooler now. Like they've gotten a lot of the stuff sort of fixed up.
We will go periodically to Eastern Market, walk around, lots of cool stuff down there, cool restaurants. We'll take the kids every once in a while. Man, there's just so much. I'm telling you, like we used to go to different places. Now we mostly go exclusively to Detroit if we're not staying right in our neighborhood.
Sure. Well, I think that's kind of what we wanted to capture for our trainees. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, it's a bummer they don't get to do the tour and do all the usual stuff. Hopefully, are a lot of faculty doing this, I hope?
Yes.
Good.
That's the plan.
I want to get the word out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you talking with me and our trainees virtually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.